June 2nd, 2004. A man walks into Stamford Bridge and changes the Premier League forever. "Please don't call me arrogant," he said. "I am a European champion, and I think I am a special one." 15 goals. In an era of Henry, Rooney, and Van Nistelrooy, Jose Mourinho's Chelsea conceded just 15 goals in 38 matches. It is a record so absurd, it feels like a glitch in the Matrix. To understand the fortress, we must understand the architect. Mourinho didn't just build a team, he built a psychological wall that no striker in the world could climb. While the rest of England played a flat 4-4-2, Mourinho introduced a sophisticated 4-3-3. It wasn't just about defense, it was about mathematical superiority in the midfield. It started with a 22-year-old giant from the Czech Republic. Petr Cech was the final piece of the puzzle, a goalkeeper who made the goal frame look small. Then there was the captain. John Terry was the heartbeat, a local lad turned into a defensive colossus, leading a backline that valued a clean sheet more than a goal. Beside Terry was Ricardo Carvalho. If Terry was the hammer, Carvalho was the scalpel. His reading of the game allowed Chelsea to play a high line or a low block with equal lethality. But the secret weapon was Claude Makelele. He occupied a space so effectively, they named it after him. The Makelele role was the shield that protected the fortress. Match day 1. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 0. It was the blueprint. Score once, then lock the gates. Ferguson's United had no answer for the blue wall. 25 clean sheets. That means in 65% of their games, the opposition didn't even get to celebrate. It was defensive perfection on a scale never seen before. Tactically, Mourinho employed a low block that was impenetrable. The distance between the defensive line and the midfield was kept at a constant, suffocating minimum. Even the superstars had to work. Robin and Duff weren't just wingers, they were the first line of the defensive press. No one was exempt from Mourinho's defensive drills. From December to March, Petr Cech went 1,025 minutes without conceding a single goal. That's over 17 hours of football. Strikers began to lose hope before they even stepped onto the pitch. Mourinho mastered the psychology of the siege mentality. He convinced his players that the entire world wanted them to fail, turning the squad into a brotherhood of steel. The Premier League in 2004 was a physical war, but Chelsea were the biggest bullies on the block. They didn't just outplay you, they outmuscled you. Defense was their offense. The moment they won the ball, usually through Makelele, Frank Lampard would trigger a transition so fast the opposition was still retreating. Paulo Ferreira and William Gallas provided the balance. One a tactical genius, the other a physical freak. They shut down the flanks with ruthless efficiency. During the grueling winter months, where titles are won or lost, Chelsea didn't blink. They churned out 1-0 win after 1-0 win, a machine that never ran out of fuel. Arsenal's Invincibles were legendary, but even they conceded 26 goals. Mourinho's Chelsea conceded nearly half that. This wasn't just a good defense, it was an anomaly. Every movement was choreographed. At Cobham, Mourinho would spend hours on defensive shape, ensuring every player knew their exact coordinate on the pitch. When they finally did concede, it felt like an event. But the response was always the same: total focus. They never conceded more than 2 goals in a single league game all season. The midfield triangle of Makelele, Lampard, and Thiago, or later Essien, was the engine room. They provided the density that made playing through the middle impossible. Set pieces were a non-factor for opponents. With Cech's height and Terry's aerial dominance, crosses into the box were essentially turnovers.
Mourinho was obsessed with negative space. He didn't care where the ball was. He cared where the space was. And he made sure his team occupied it first.
Away from home, they were even more ruthless. They took the air out of the stadium, silencing home crowds with a clinical defensive stranglehold. They finished with 95 points, a record that stood for over a decade. But the 15 goals conceded? That record still stands, mocking every team that tries to beat it. Strikers spoke of the frustration. Playing against this Chelsea was like playing against a wall that moved. Every time you thought you were through, another blue shirt appeared.
If they were leading 1-0, Mourinho would kill the game. He didn't care about entertainment. He cared about the 3 points and the 0 in the goals against column. At Bolton, the title was secured. 2 goals from Lampard, but more importantly, another clean sheet. The fortress had held until the very end. Champions of England. The first time in 50 years. And they did it by redefining how the game was defended. Even the great Manchester City teams of Pep Guardiola, with all their possession, haven't come close to 15 goals. Modern football is too open, too attacking. This record is a relic of a different era.
They were masters of the dark arts. A tactical foul here, a slowed-down goal kick there. They managed the clock as well as they managed the pitch.
Cech's greatest strength was his concentration. He could go 89 minutes with nothing to do, and then produce a world-class save in the 90th to preserve the clean sheet.
Today's high press is exhausting. Mourinho's low block was economical. It allowed Chelsea to play at 100% intensity in the areas that actually mattered, their own penalty box.
Mourinho's 2004 masterpiece became the blueprint for every defensive coach that followed, but none have ever matched the original.
It is football's unbreakable code. To concede only 15 goals, you need the perfect manager, the perfect keeper, the perfect captain, and the perfect system. A perfect storm.
Statistically, it shouldn't have happened. The probability of maintaining that defensive record over 38 games is almost 0. It remains the greatest defensive outlier in sports history.
1 loss, 95 points, 15 goals against. The numbers tell a story of a team that didn't just win, they dominated the very concept of competition. He came, he saw, and he built a fortress. Jose Mourinho proved that while goals win games, defenses win championships, and a legendary defense wins immortality. The 15-goal fortress, a masterpiece of tactical discipline, a monument to the special one, and a code that 20 years later remains uncracked.